They thought I lost. Not loudly at first, but quietly, the way people decide things when they believe no one is listening. They assumed my silence meant defeat, that my calm meant I had accepted failure, that the absence of explanation meant I had nothing left to say. I noticed the shift immediately. The way conversations changed when I entered the room. The way eyes avoided mine. The way people spoke as if my story had already ended. And I made a decision in that moment that changed everything. I chose not to correct them. I chose not to defend myself. I chose silence. Silence is uncomfortable when you know the truth. It feels unnatural to let misunderstandings grow, to allow false narratives to spread without interruption. Every instinct pushes you to speak, to explain, to justify, to reclaim control of the story. But I resisted that urge, because I understood something most people don't. Silence doesn't mean you agree. Silence means you are watching. Silence means you are learning. Silence means you are choosing the moment when your actions will speak louder than words ever could. As days passed, their assumptions became stronger. They grew confident in their version of events. They believed I was finished. They believed I had failed. And because they believed that so completely, they stopped paying attention to me. That was the moment silence transformed from restraint into advantage. When people think they've already won, they stop being careful. They reveal themselves. They become careless with words, with intentions, with truth. And I listened. I heard everything. Not because they told me directly, but because silence made me invisible. People speak freely around those they no longer see as a threat. They joke, they gossip, they speculate without caution. And every careless sentence gave me clarity. I began to see who people really were when they thought I no longer mattered. Silence stripped away politeness and revealed intention. And that knowledge was more valuable than any argument I could have won. I didn't waste energy being angry. Anger is loud, and loud emotions reveal weakness. Instead, I focused inward. I took the space silence created and used it to rebuild myself where no one could see. Skills I had neglected were sharpened quietly. Discipline was rebuilt slowly. Confidence returned, not from praise or validation, but from consistency. I worked when no one was watching. I improved when no one expected it. I grew without announcing progress. They assumed nothing was happening because nothing was visible. They mistook invisibility for stagnation. That misunderstanding protected me. It allowed me to make mistakes privately, to learn without judgment, to refine my direction without interference. Silence removed the pressure to perform. Without an audience, growth became honest. Without opinions, progress became focused. There were moments when doubt crept in. Silence gives you time alone with your thoughts, and not all of them are kind. I wondered if staying quiet made me look weak. I questioned whether people would ever see the truth. But every time doubt surfaced, I reminded myself why I chose this path. Speaking would have given relief, not results. Explaining would have satisfied curiosity, not created change. Silence was not about being passive. It was about being deliberate. As time went on, I noticed the subtle shift in their behavior. First, it was confidence, then comfort, then carelessness. They stopped watching me. They stopped questioning me. They stopped including me in conversations that mattered. And that exclusion, which once would have hurt, became freedom. Freedom to move without scrutiny. Freedom to prepare without distraction. Freedom to become something they were not prepared for. I learned patience during that period. Real patience, not waiting but working without immediate reward. I learned that true strength develops quietly, that the loudest people are rarely the most powerful, that those who rush to be seen often sacrifice depth for attention. Silence taught me restraint, timing, and control. It taught me to respond only when response mattered. Slowly, results began to form. Not dramatically, not publicly, but steadily. Small victories accumulated. Opportunities appeared that aligned with the work I had done in private. Confidence became natural, not forced. And still I said nothing. I didn't announce progress. I didn't hint at outcomes. I let silence do its work. People began to sense something had changed. Not because I told them, but because presence cannot be hidden forever. Energy shifts when growth is real. They notice without understanding. Confusion replaced certainty. Curiosity replaced comfort. They began to look at me differently, cautiously, as if trying to reconcile who they thought I was with who I had become. Silence had removed their ability to track me, and that uncertainty unsettled them. They wondered when it happened, how it happened, what they missed. But I never answered those questions. Silence doesn't explain itself. It reveals itself through results, and results don't need permission to exist. The gap between their assumptions and reality had grown too wide to ignore. The version of me they had dismissed no longer existed. I realized then that silence does something powerful. It forces people to reflect. When you don't react, they replay their own words. When you don't respond, they question their own actions. Silence becomes a mirror, and not everyone likes what they see. Some felt regret. Some felt insecurity. Some felt exposed. But those emotions were not mine to manage. Silence had shifted responsibility back to them. I didn't seek revenge. I didn't need to. The change in power was enough. I had moved beyond the need to prove anything. Their opinions no longer mattered because my direction no longer depended on them. Silence had taught me independence. It had taught me that validation is optional, not necessary. That peace comes from alignment, not approval. The irony was clear. By underestimating me, they had given me exactly what I needed. Time, space, focus. If they had challenged me early, questioned me closely, or kept watching, they might have interfered with my growth. But they didn't. Silence made them comfortable, and comfort made them blind. When the truth finally became visible, it wasn't loud. It didn't arrive with confrontation or explanation. It showed in confidence, in stability, in outcomes that spoke for themselves. People noticed without being told. They adjusted without discussion. Behavior changed without apology. Silence had done its work completely. I understood then what silent payback truly means. It is not retaliation. It is not humiliation. It is not proving someone wrong through words. It is allowing time, preparation, and discipline to create results so undeniable that explanation becomes unnecessary. It is letting others believe whatever they want while you build something they never saw coming. I let them think I lost because that belief gave me control. Control over my time. Control over my energy. Control over my growth. Silence wasn't weakness. It was strategy. It was protection. It was power. And when the moment came, it revealed itself naturally. I moved forward without looking back. The past opinions, the whispers, the assumptions lost relevance. I carried clarity instead of anger, focus instead of resentment, confidence instead of explanation. Silence had refined me. It had stripped away the need to impress, the urge to respond, the desire to be understood by those who never truly listened. The strongest lesson was simple. The quietest response often has the longest impact. Those who speak too quickly give away control. Those who react too loudly reveal insecurity. But those who remain silent with purpose build something deeper, something lasting, something unstoppable. I didn't win by shouting. I didn't win by confronting. I didn't win by explaining. I won by becoming someone they could no longer define. Silence allowed that transformation. And when the results appeared, they didn't ask questions anymore. They didn't need answers. The silence had already said everything.